Hey guys, it is Arika Misha, and today's subject was really hard for me to come and talk about, but God wanted me to come and talk about it, so I'm gonna do it, and I pray that it may help someone, anyone. And as you guys can see by the title of today's video, did you really forgive them? Did you really? I know you say you did, but did you really? God was talking to me, as usual. And y'all know I'm always talking to God about something. And I said, well, God, and this is something from my past. I mean, we're talking, wow, almost 20 years ago. Long time ago. And I said, okay, God, I forgive them. I'm moving on, God. I'm supposed to, God, the right thing to do is to forgive, God. You want us to forgive like you forgive us. Oh, that whole speech I gave myself. Yeah. That whole speech. Yeah. Great. Sounds great. And yeah, so pop back up 20 years later. Almost 2019. Almost 20 years later. Pop back up. And y'all know how it is. When we've dealt with something in the past, it's done, it's over with. We forgive, we've moved on. And it's funny how when things happen, when we say we've forgiven someone, and then something happens and it's like, well, did you really forgive them? And yeah, something popped up. And God said, because I was talking to God about it at first. I was talking to God about it, and God was like, you sound a little angry. You sound a little angry. God said, did you really forgive him? And when God said that to me, that thing hit me so hard in my spirit. And God said it again. Did you really forgive him? God said, because I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that. I'm getting, you said you forgive them, but now that it's popped back up, if it's still aggravating and irritating and causing you to get angry, God said, did you really forgive them? Did you really? And man, it was tough. It was tough to hear God get on me. It was tough for me to hear God getting on me about it. God said that, oh, you said years ago that you forgive them and you've moved on. And God said, but y'all know how it is, and people be popping back up. God said, you forgive them. You said you forgive them a long time ago. God said, but now that, paths have crossed and God said, did you really forgive them? And that's just what God just kept saying to me. And I was like, and I just began to just pray, and I began to say to God that, God, I thought I did. But isn't it something when we say we forgive someone, we've moved on from something or whatever the situation may be, and then when that situation comes back up and we react to it a certain way, it's like God says, okay, well, the way you reacting, it don't seem like you forgave them, because if it causes you to still react like you did back then, did you really forgive them? And I said to God, God, that's a good question. And I just began to talk to God about it. And I said, God, I thought I did. I thought I had, forgave them and moved on. And I'm telling you, it just really had me doing a reality check. Like, and I think it was easy to say that I did forgive because they were out of sight, out of mind. But once they were back in my sight, it's like, oh, whoa, wait, it's easier to deal with and say I forgive you when you're out of sight and I don't see you. And I ain't gonna worry about our paths crossing. I'll stay out of your way, you stay out of my way. But when something happens and the paths cross, it's like, I just began to pray, and I said that, God, forgive me because, I'm feeling some kind of way. And God just began to minister to me, and God just began to just tell me how far he has brought me and the things that he's healed me from. And God was saying, don't go back to that hurt. Don't go back to that old hurt. Don't go back to that. God said, I've healed you from that. Remember how I healed you from that? I delivered you from that. God said, don't go back to that old hurt. God said, don't let that old thing hurt you, pop back up and hurt you. But it did reveal to me that a lot of times when we we've moved on from things and we've forgiven and we've moved on and, oh, I'm happy, I'm doing good, I'm doing better. And then a situation happens and then you realize that you're not so over it like you thought you were. Yeah. Did you really forgive him? That's what God was talking to me about. Did you really forgive him? So, yeah. All right, guys. That's what God wanted me to come and talk about today. Did you really forgive him? We say we do until something happens. But, I've had situations where, I've moved on, say I forgive someone, no matter what it is, friend, whatever, family, whatever the situation is, previous relationship, I've had those moments where I say, oh, I forgave them, I moved on, God healed me from that situation, I have moved on. And then something happens, and then I've been like, okay, all right, whatever, and it didn't even bother me, but when it bothers you and causes you some kind of, did you really forgive him? That's what God was asking me. Did you really forgive him? All right, guys. That's what God wanted me to come and talk about today. This is Erika Misha. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget, guys, go down in the description box, click on that link to my second channel. Over there, I'm cooking, doing hair, makeup, nails, DIYs, family vlogs, shopping, unboxing, online shopping, grocery shopping, all that good stuff. It's my life. I just share it that it may help someone. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless. Bye.